Hello, it's Michaela from Metanoia Flow, and I'm here to talk to you and give you an overview of the nervous system. So, as human beings, we all have a brain and we all have a spinal cord that runs through the vertebral column. And from our vertebral column is all these nerves and our nervous system. So, our nervous system controls every single part of our body. All of our organs, all of our systems, our cells, our, all of our communication, the way we move, the way we speak. If we have problems in our body, so if we're sick, our nervous system kicks our everything into place. So it's really important. We know how important it is because of the protection that our body gives it. So we all have these skulls, which are really hard and provide full covering over our brain because our body knows how important it is. There's no other organ in our body that is as well protected as our brains. From our brain runs our spinal cord. Our spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column. What's really cool about our vertebral column is every single one of our vertebrae has the ability to move and actually lock down to protect the spinal cord, because without the brain and spinal cord, we do not function. One of the ways that our nervous system acts is to go into, and this is just a very simple explanation to help you understand what your body may be doing or how your body may be stuck in the fight-flight response. So we have these two main responses or regulations of the nervous system. So we have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic parts of our nervous system. So what that basically means is we want to obviously keep our body safe. So our nervous system actually helps to do that, because its ultimate goal is for us to be healthy and to stay safe and to stay alive. So, for example, if a dog or a lion came in through that door behind me now, then my nervous system would jump into action, hopefully. And I would hopefully get into the fight-flight response and run out of the room. Same thing is if I was walking across the road and a car beeped its horn and I was about to step out, that it would actually stop me from stepping out onto the road. So it's a really useful response, but what we want our body to do is to actually regulate that. So to move into the fight-flight response or into the sympathetic part of the nervous system reaction, stay in that response for as long as the danger is present, but then to move back out of that just into the nervous system regulation or into the rest, digest and heal, or the parasympathetic part of our nervous system. The other part of our nervous system, which you may not be so familiar with, is the freeze response. So what happens with freeze is it's almost like it goes past the fight-flight response. So for me, a tiger lion might come into the space now. I try to get out. I can't run away. So another way of keeping me safe may be to freeze. So to stay in that freeze position, to try and hide, to keep myself safe. But then, say the danger leaves the room, then I want my nervous system to move back into that parasympathetic response, not stay stuck in the sympathetic dominance. What is currently happening in our world is that we have so much stress in our life. Now, our bodies see stress like a lion or a tiger or something that's going to attack us. And the problem is that we have so much stress, where there are so many lions and tigers or perceived lions and tigers that are out to get us. And so often we get stuck in that sympathetic dominance or in the fight-flight response. Now, when our body goes into fight-flight, all it's trying to do is keep us protected and keep our major organs protected, our heart, our lungs, our obviously our nervous system. So we start to develop ways of coping with that because our body's so busy trying to keep us safe. So often what happens is because we're trying to run away from the tiger, then things like digestion become less important. Things like reproduction become less important. So our bodies actually, by trying to protect us, start to place less emphasis on the functions of the body like digestion. So then we start to see things like problems in the digestive system or problems, like I said, in the reproductive system, because the body's busy using all of its efforts into keeping us safe and actually either going into a freeze response or that fight-flight response. So the body's constantly feeling under threat, and the problem with that is that when we're feeling under threat, then we're not in rest, digest, and heal. We're not moving into that state of regulation. Regulation is meant to happen about at 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute cycle. You move into fight, flight, back into rest, digest, and heal. Into fight, flight, freeze, back into rest, digest, and heal. Most of us are stuck in that fight, flight. So how do you know if that's you? So it might be based on how you're feeling. It might feel like you're really ungrounded, like your feet aren't grounded to the earth, to the floor. It might feel like you don't have enough life force energy to move through life. You might notice things like you're constantly procrastinating. You feel really stuck, like you can't actually move forward. That they can be signs. The other thing to look for is your posture. So what I look for, because we call this where your coccyx is, where your tailbone is, we call this your base gateway. So often people who are stuck in that sympathetic dominance, their tailbone gets tucked under. So think of us like mammals. A mammal who's scared or feeling under threat, they'll tuck their tailbone under. We do this because that's a way of actually protecting our most valuable spinal cord, is so we tuck it under. Our tendons, our dura all tucks under to keep our nervous system safe. So you could look at your posture, look at yourself side on in the mirror, and you will notice that, maybe your bum's starting to tuck under, or you're kind of losing the shape of your bottom, and that's a sign. Another sign that you may be stuck in that sympathetic dominance is to do the test. So if you've seen a spinal flow practitioner, the test is the heel to toe. So it's putting your heel in front of your toe and trying to take at least 6 steps. However, with your hands out in front and your eyes closed. If you are unable to do 6 steps or more, then it's very possible that you are stuck in that fight flight. The other ways it might show up is if you're starting to experience lots of autoimmune things. So any of your multiple sclerosis, the psoriasis, a lot of those things show us that your body's stuck in that sympathetic dominance. So ways to get out of that. Well, obviously, having your spine checked by a spinal flow practitioner is really important, because they will actually be able to tell you whether you're stuck in that state. And we don't want to be stuck in that state, because it means that that those blockages are causing a lack of life force energy, through the entire body. So having regular spinal flow, committing to that, doing an audit of your life, a stress audit to be, okay, so what's the stress in my life that I can change? What are the things that I can potentially avoid? What's in my control? Because the issue with the world that we live in is that there's so much stress that we actually have no control over. And so it's really important that we are doing everything we can in our lives to actually manage the stress, or managing the amount of tigers, the amount of lions that are appearing in our life. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you soon.